Hey, Eagle fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome to Philadelphia Eagles. Now, happy Monday here on the channel. A lot of interesting Eagles news and rumors. We'll talk about those in just one second. First, though, shout out to Alan Ragsdale, who said his favorite soda was ginger ale, and his favorite all-time player was Randall Cunningham. I read that as his name was ginger ale, which made no sense. So, Alan Ragsdale, so I say your last name. Shout out to you as you commented your favorite soda and your favorite all-time player. Remember, you can comment on today's videos. We'll talk about in just a little bit, and if you answer it and we poll it, as producer Trace does that, you might get a shout out to start tomorrow's video. So here's the question: how many Eagles games have you been to? Answer for a shout out. Must be a subscriber. I've been to, let me think like this. It's 4, right? I've been to 4. I went to the Eagles-Cowboys game in 2010, the wildcard playoff game in Dallas, where McNabb's final game, we got blown out. Vic threw a touchdown to Macklin in that one. I was a little kid. I went to Eagles-Texans at NRG, back when it was called NRG. That was Nick Foles broke his collarbone at that game. I went to Eagles-Saints in Philadelphia, back when Bradford was the quarterback with Chip Kelly. And then I went to Eagles and Falcons this past year in Atlanta. So 4 Eagle games for me. I'm going to multiple Eagle games this coming year, and I'll tell you when I get my tickets for that as well. So that's my games. Give me your games down below right now. All right, coming up on today's Eagles news and rumors, we have a ton of interesting stuff, including changes at the play caller position, Carson Strong looking pretty darn good, and some OTA news and notes. OTAs have been going on, and so how are the guys looking? DeVonta Smith, he's our big winner the past couple of days, even though it's just OTAs, so it's not like, actual games out there. But we're going to have fun anyway. So here we go. Let's jump into the big news of the day, and that is the Eagles' offensive play calling. We'll call it a change, I guess. I'll explain why here in a second. So Shane Steichen is going to go ahead and call plays in 2022, according to the Philadelphia Eagles in a report earlier this week. Now, he was the play caller last year, but more of like took over play calling, and the reports were that they were sharing play calling duties, him and Nick Sirianni, but the real juice kind of came out saying that Steichen was doing the play calling from about halfway through the season on, instead of just relaying the plays from Nick Sirianni, and so they've confirmed that will be one play caller in the year of Jalen Hurts, and that is going to be Shane Steichen for the 2022 season. So here was Steichen. Steichen? I think it's Steichen how you say his last name. I always mess that one up. Either way, here was the OC at OTAs talking about this whole change. Quote, I think last year we were a new staff. We were evolving as an offense. So as the season got going on, I ended up taking over more of the play calling mid-season. Then again, Nick has a stamp on every single thing we do. So in the meeting rooms, he has a stamp on everything we do. Every play that's on the call sheet, he makes sure is justified. Boom, and we're good to go. So going forward, I'll be calling the plays next year, and we'll go from there. So some continuity there at the play calling position, and honestly, this to me sounds pretty darn good. Now, the Eagles' offense last season was very, very strange. Very bad the first 6 games. Then they started rushing the football and finished out as the #1 overall rushing team. I mean, a ton of rushing touchdowns, #1 in rushing yards, yards per game, yards per carry. They were #1 overall. Rushing yards per game, they were 14th, and so overall, at the end, they became the #1 rushing team halfway through the season, but at the end, they were 14th. Passing, though, was where they were a little bit down, and that's the knock on Jalen Hurts, as most people will comment down below, whatever, 25th. Points per game, they were 12th. So basically top 15 in every major category except for passing the football. And the hope is now year 2 of obviously DeVonta Smith, A.J. Brown, offensive line, blah, blah, blah. They're going to be better at passing. My big thought with Steichen, though, is that he will run the ball. If we're talking about halfway through the season, he took over the offensive play calling. That's kind of right whenever Philadelphia went from we're just going to throw and never run to we're just going to run and never throw. And I think you need a balance of both sides, obviously, but this should still be a run-first team. Even with A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith, they still should run the football down people's throats with that great offensive line, with a stable of running backs, with Jalen Hurts in the read option, and now a lot more, double coverage on the outside, less people in the box. They should be the #1 rushing team again. So overall, this to me is great for the Philadelphia Eagles. It's good for Jalen Hurts. I'm excited to see what the play calling looks like with one single play caller in his ear in 2022. Add a break pen comment down below. Will the Eagles have a top 10 offense in 2022? Think they will? Type Y down below for yes. Think they won't? Type N down below for no. All right, so quick OTA news and notes here. Carson Strong has been impressive. Now, again, it's OTAs. It's not like Carson Strong is playing against, padded 11-on-11 defenses. It's very, very early, but the early impressions are pretty good. And Philly Voice had a good write-up on the initial impressions of Carson Strong and who he kind of reminds the Eagle writer for Philly Voice of. And I'll throw that quote up on the screen right now. Here we go. Quote, who does he remind me of? That's right, Sam Bradford, a.k.a. Sammy Sleeves, a.k.a. Sleevey Wonder. I miss Sam Bradford, not really, but it was funny. Why? They're both very accurate passers, plenty of arm strength to make all the throws, modest yards per pass attempt relative to a 70% completion percentage. They have roughly the same build. Strong is half an inch shorter and 2 pounds heavier. He would go on to say, quote, they both have knees made of pudding and paper mache, which snapped their ability to make plays with their feet and made them major injury risks. To be clear, we're not referring to Sammy Sleeves that went number 1 overall to the Rams in the 2010 NFL Draft. We're more referring to mid to late career Sleeves who could still throw, essentially a statue in the pocket, and you held your breath every time he got hit, end quote. Some more interesting thoughts on that. And Carson Strong here in just 1 second. I thought it was funny, though, to bring up that quote. First, though, we're less than like 10 subs away from 30K. Like, we are so close to 30K subs here on the channel that we're going to have it by the end of today, but you might as well jump on the train to see maybe a year they're going to be the 30,000th, right, subscriber. So if you want to subscribe, go down below and join the club. 30,000 strong is insane. I appreciate each and every one of you as we continue to grow here on what I think is the best Eagle channel on the entire platform. It's just crazy to say, but it's kind of true. So Strong, again, talking about being impressive at OTAs. I think he's going to be an interesting guy to watch as training camp progresses because that's where you're really going to go ahead and get to see what he can do. Right now at OTAs, you know, anyone can look good. You and I could go out there and look pretty decent in non-padded 7-on-7 throws, right? It wouldn't be that hard. However, if he looks good as training camp begins later on this offseason, he might start rising up the depth chart, and the key here would be giving the Eagles even more incentive to trade away Gardner Minshew. If Strong becomes the guy and he outplays or plays as good as Minshew, then you could go ahead and shop Minshew to a quarterback-needy team, and there will always be an injury in the offseason. There will always be someone who goes ahead and needs to trade for a quarterback during training camp, but it will give the Eagles some stability at the position and an ability to go ahead and trade away Minshew for some draft capital if Strong actually looks pretty darn good. So we'll see, but the early news out of there to me is interesting regarding what Carson Strong looks like. Thought he was going to be drafted, late in the 6th or 7th round, but undrafted free agent because of the knee issue. See what he can do with his time in Philadelphia. Who will be quarterback number 2 in 2022? Is it Strong or Minshew? Type S down below for Strong. Type M down below for Minshew. Okay, I want to wrap up by giving you guys some OTA news and notes, and we do this a lot, I'd say, heavier during training camp because there's a lot more practice film to break down and more news to go ahead and break down, but I wanted to give you guys the thoughts on what is happening at OTAs regarding what I've heard so far from different reporters and Twitter accounts and stuff like that, people actually, on the ground in Philadelphia. First, DeVonta Smith is balling out. I mean, everyone is saying that Smith looks fantastic in year 2, looks even better in year 2, and alongside A.J. Brown, they're going to be an incredible passing duo. I'm drafting DeVonta Smith in my fantasy league this year. I think he has a 1,000-yard season. I think all the attention goes to A.J. Brown. One-on-one against Smith and your number 2 cornerback is going to be a nightmare. So far, he's looked really good at OTAs. Now, another thing here is that there are no 11-on-11 works so far. They've not done any sort of 11-on-11. They've only done 7-on-7, and obviously not padded as well. But just know that anything we talk about or anything you read about regarding OTAs, up to this point, there have been no 11-on-11 drills so far, which obviously is kind of when everybody's on the football field and when it actually matters. And again, you can only take so much away from OTAs, right? Just talk about Carson Strong, don't really know. But the fact we're not seeing 11-on-11s, I think, is good for safety reasons, but it's bad for if you're trying to, gauge how good people are looking, right? So if if Jalen Hurts throws touchdowns or not, whatever, if he's inaccurate, whatever, but know that there have been no 11-on-11s. Hurts has been accurate, though, and we will mention that. Missed on a couple of deep balls during practice the other day, overthrew A.J. Brown in a throw. Talked about it in his post-practice press conference, saying he needs to be better, but the over-the-middle and short throws were very accurate for Jalen Hurts, and that is good news overall right there because he 100% needs to be more accurate in order to be more successful in 2022. So, work in progress, but so far, deep balls, missed a couple, did hit a couple, too. It's not like he missed every single one, but the short stuff has been really good from everything and all the reports coming out of training camp. Show your support for Jalen Hurts, type 1. Down below in the comment section, throw some love there for Mr. Hurts. Type 1 down below because, of course, we are all rooting for him to have a successful year because if he has a good year, then the Eagles have a good year. So type 1. All right, final note here from OTAs. Kazir White and TJ Edwards were the starting linebackers in those 7-on-7s and in all linebacker drills so far this offseason. Super early, this doesn't mean that Kobe Dean stinks or that he's not going to be the starter or there is an open battle. Stop. That's not true. I'm just saying that right now, the reports are saying that White and Edwards were your 2 starting linebackers, and that makes sense because they're kind of the 2 older linebackers on that depth chart and the two guys who you'd expect to start had they not drafted Nakobe Dean. So we'll come back to this once, obviously, training camp starts. But right now, White and Edwards have been your two starting linebackers. Okay, that's it for OTA news and notes. It for today's video. Drop a like down below if you're hyped for the start of the season, as I am. I am so pumped. I cannot wait. Obviously, it's going to take a while, though, because it's like, oh, man, it's going to be a long time before we actually go ahead and get real stuff. But we're going to cover it all here on the channel. Give this video a thumbs up. And we'll wrap up by saying, mailbag video later on this week. Get your questions in down below right now. Hashtag Eagles in the comment section to be a part of that. Must be subscribed as well as always. For Philadelphia Eagles Now, producer Trace doing a great job as always. Thomas Mott signing off for the rest of your day.